Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your match reaction. Manchester United 0, Spurs 3. Absolutely terrible performance. One of the worst performances under Erik ten Hag. It's up there with them all, with the Liverpool defeat, with the Man City defeat, with the Crystal Palace performance last week. Guys, get your comments into the comment section. As always, smash a like on the video and hit subscribe if you are new to the channel. We've got a lot to talk about, and we've got some of the regulars in as always. Chris is in, Oshin is in, Ben is in, and Desi is back with us as well. Yeah, guys, I mean, where do we start? Oshin, you're the closest one to me. I'll go to you first. I don't know if you want to be first or not, but that was absolutely atrocious.
That's one word for it. I don't think we could say the other words you want to say without getting banned.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. Mazraoui was outplayed from minute one, which is unusual. He started so well. The back four were out muscle for everything. Our midfield was non-existent. Ugarte seemed completely isolated. Bruno had no interest. I think even if he was still on, we wouldn't have beat Spurs. I don't think we would have got anyone near. He just wasn't interested at all from minute one. Never a red, but he just was never, his head was not in the game. Rashford played well, but then once he went down to 10, he just got no ball. Garnacho for the first half, I don't know. Second half, he became he was our best player. And Xerxes was just non-existent. He was subbed off for Casemiro, and then the second half, I mean, what can say about the second half? It just went downhill, you know. There's the only positives really is that it wasn't 10-0 because of Onana. That's the only positive I can think of.
Yeah.
The substitutions were a bit funny, bringing on Mount for Menu. I would probably put on Casemiro at that point, short things up before half-time, settle things down, then make another change. I think he's done. I think he's out the door.
Yeah. Ben, what did you make of it? You know, it's a tough day, and there's very little positives to take out with it. Do you see any positives in it at all?
Holy shit, he
Not really. Not from that. I shaved, yeah. What positives is it? No, like you say. Rashford first off, yeah. Did all right. But what else can you say?
Yeah.
There's nothing there, is there?
Nothing else to say. Desi, give me your thoughts on it. Welcome back. You haven't been in with us in a while, but what a want to come back for. Up there with the worst performances I think we've ever seen.
Sorry, Jack. Is that popcorn at the top of your head, Desi?
That's the lampshade. There's a few things running through my mind. I think after one of the games on one of the match reactions you asked me, was I 10 Hag in or 10 Hag out? And I said 50-50 and you called me a fraud. And the reason for that was, Jack, there wasn't enough evidence to suggest that he was the manager for the job.
Yeah.
Because the performances at the time are too inconsistent. Now, when you look back and you go back to the FA Cup final and you think, my God, you know, how does this happen? They go from so inconsistent to, like, it was like a masterclass that day. And I think he turned everybody's mind and thinking, well, maybe he is the right manager with the right setup behind him. And maybe with some fresh faces in, new players. Give us that ringtone. Who's that? Yeah. So, but there's been absolutely nothing this season to suggest that he is the man. Now, people say, oh, we can't keep sacking managers and we can't keep doing this. But look up, maybe we have to go through a few managers until we find the right one. There's one thing for certain, Jack, is that Ten Hag is out of his depth. I think he's lost the dressing room. There's no way on air, Jack. I mentioned in your live there and the watch along. On paper, we have a good team. It's not world class, but there's absolutely no excuse for the way that team is performing. And you can come out and say whatever you want after the game, the interview after the game. There is absolutely no excuse to be performing at that level. Even the match during the week,
Did we lose him?
Had a man sent off today.
Oh.
I still don't think at best today with 11 men on the field are we going to beat Spurs. At best we'll probably get a draw. So that'll tell you exactly where we're at. They need, I think, as players, Jack, as players in the dressing room, they need a fresh outlook. They need someone with new ideas to come in there. Because right now, nobody seems to know what they're doing on the field. When you look at Spurs, people say about Spurs, they play a high line and they're vulnerable to the counter-attack. Yeah, but that's their style to play. Because that manager has come in there and implemented that on that team. Every player knows what to do. In what position, on certain areas of the pitch, where they should be receiving the ball, where the next man should be. But with us, it just seems like, we'll go out and we'll see how we get on.
Yeah. No, you're
So,
spot on.
I think-
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I think personally, Jack, I'll finish on this. His time's up. It's over now. Let's move on.
Yeah. Chris, I seen you shaking your head earlier when Oisin was saying his time was up. Do you disagree? Do you think, or give me your thoughts on the game first and foremost? And we'll obviously get into Ten Hag in a few minutes, but yeah, give me your thoughts on the game.
Thoughts of the game are pitiful. I mean, we're flat once again. I mean, nobody played. I think this is the first game that our back four didn't play well. I mean, usually our back four is the ones that are playing well, that keep us in the games and keep us right. Delo was non-existent. I mean, on the first goal, he literally, before the goal was even scored, he raised his hand and said, "Oh, this is my fault." Like on the replay, they showed it. I'm like, what do you, like, seriously, you just raise your hand before the ball's even in the net? Like, that's ridiculous. It's just, I don't understand why. I mean, a friend of mine that's here, Edmund, he's part of the group, or our chat group and everything like that. He said, we're an undisciplined team, where I kind of disagree. I said, I think that we're too disciplined of a team, meaning that our guys, like, you watch the Chelsea match yesterday, they're free flowing. You watch Spurs today, they're free flowing. Our guys, you know exactly where Rashford's at. You know exactly where Garnacho's at. You know exactly where everybody's going to be. And they don't ever move. And I think that's the problem. Like, we don't play free-flowing ball. Like, we don't, Rashford's always on the left. Garnacho's always on the right. Xerxes always somewhere in the middle doing, whatever. Today's his worst game ever as a United player. Bruno is usually slung out on the wing somewhere because he doesn't have a place to be. And we're isolated in the midfield. Like, we don't. There's no rotation. There's no movement. There's no. And I understand what the guys are saying. And I was a Ten Hag in person because I like the discipline that he brought when he first came in, because he was kind of no nonsense kind of thing. But right now, I got to agree that I don't see what our style of play is. Like in the 20 game when we played midweek against FC 20, I just don't understand. Like, everybody's like, oh, well, we had a lot of possession. I don't care about possession if you can't do anything with it. Like, you can hold the ball for 70%, 80% of the time, but you lose 2-0. What's possession going to do for you? Nothing. Because all we do is pass the ball side to side. The ball never goes forward. The ball, it goes from Rashford back to Delo, back to De Ligt, back to Martinez, back to the other side, and then it goes to the winger on that side, and then it comes all the way back around, and everybody in the middle just kind of sitting there watching. Like, I just don't understand. My issue with Ten Hag right now is I don't understand what we're trying to do. And honestly, is that reason to sack him? Yeah, it is. But at the same time, we can't afford to. I mean, I don't. And I brought this up in the chat earlier, and I apologize, I wasn't around for the chat a lot today. It was the fact that we can't afford to sack him. It's $15 million, if not more, to sack him right now with the contract extension we just gave him. So I think he's going to be here until at least January, and I'm afraid to see what goes on. Because
can we afford to keep him that long, Chris?
I mean,
I don't think we're going to get relegated. Do we want to be in relegation battle come January in 18-19?
Well, I mean, I think that's the only way that he does get sacked, if we're going to be in the relegation battle. But I don't think we're that bad. But I mean, my problem is I'll be honest with you, and I said this before, I don't think Xerxes can play with Bruno. They occupy the same space. Xerxes plays deep.
Sorry to cut across you.
It's all right.
None of these players can play with one another because the system is broken. It's nobody in that team at this stage of Erik Ten Hag's lifespan in the club. They don't believe in the system. They don't want to play it. It's clear to see. We can say this player doesn't want to play here. This player doesn't want to play with that player. Listen, most of our players have been chasing shadows this season. And that's a fact. And that comes back down to the manager. When he looks and analyzes the game, he has to figure out what is going wrong. These players aren't bad players. They should all be able to play with each other in different positions. It doesn't really matter when it comes to the team. In the team, you might have to sacrifice your own position and cover in for somebody else and still be as good in that position. The big problem is that I don't think, personally speaking, in my opinion, that these players buy Ten Hag's system anymore. They don't want to play. You don't see it. There was one stage in the game today where Rashford gets the ball in a 1v1 position against their right back. He was out on the left. And in my head, I'm thinking, right, now you have him. This is exactly what you would want to see him doing, getting into a 1v1 with the right back and taking him on and maybe cutting inside and taking a shot. He stops, kicks the ball in between two defenders in towards the back post. Garnacho's never going to get to it. But I'm just thinking, now, if that's... He doesn't actually even believe in himself anymore. He's lost all belief in his own ability. That he's not actually going at that defender, maybe cutting outside and trying to get across in, or cutting back in on his right foot and taking a shot. He just swung a leg at it. And that's not Rashford. That's not Rashford. We know what he's capable of. Everybody's seen it 2 seasons ago where he came out and he scored 30-odd goals, whatever it may be. He has lost his own belief in himself. Yeah. And I think that's down to playing in the same shitty system every week. I don't personally think, no matter what good player we get, if we put a good player into that team, into that system, they're going to look shit because it's not working. And that's just the way it is. And I think he's definitely lost the dressing room. We can go on about individual performances and where players can't play with certain players. He's brought these players in to play with these players, and they're not playing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris.
No, you're fine, Desi. You're good.
No, you're fine.
There's not a lot there that I disagree with.
I'll throw a question at you then, Chris. I mean, and I'm agreeing with a lot of what you're saying here. Can Erik Ten Hag stop Van der Ven from running the length of the pitch, squaring it, and Delo not being there for a tap-in? You know what I mean? Surely there has to be individual pride and individual, accountability here as well.
Well, that's the one thing that I was going to get into is the fact that, like my buddy said that, we're an undisciplined team and, that comes down to the manager. And I disagree in the fact that I think that once the players step out on the pitch, it's their responsibility to play and give the effort. You can't force somebody to give the effort. All of us have played before. All of us, have done, not at that level or anything like that. But when you step on the field, no matter if you like the coach, you don't like the coach, you go out there and you give your effort. And if you don't give the effort for the badge just because of the coach, then you shouldn't even be in the club regardless, because you should just give the effort. Like Tilley, like you said, Van de Ven made a 50, 60-yard run with the ball. Nobody stepped to him for some odd reason. Like, we were getting yellow cards left and right. Why don't you just foul him and take the yellow card? Do a professional foul and stop the run of play.
Rashford should have fouled him. Rashford should have fouled him. He pulled out of the tackle. Yes, he did. And he comes across and he knows he's going to break with the ball and he doesn't put the foot in. If you're really in belief for the team and belief, you fucking upend him there and then and take the yellow for the team. And he doesn't backs out and lets him runs away. And then everybody else. So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to talk over everybody here. All I'm saying is, yes, you have to have pride when you walk onto the field and show that your own personality has to come across as I'm a hard-working player and I'm going to fight for this team. But I think over time now, in the last 2 years, they just don't believe in what he's trying to implement onto the team. So when they go out there, and despite the fact that it is up to them, they have no real belief in what he's trying to do. Do you get what I'm saying, Chris? They don't really believe in the system he's trying to build at the club. And then they don't even believe before they go out onto the pitch that they're going to beat another team. Because what they're doing in behind the scenes in training. There is no evidence to suggest that since the start of the season that we have actually changed. We've a different style of play. We're playing a high line. We're playing a high press. We're trying to win the ball back high up in the other team's part of the pitch. There's none of that. And then when we play out from the back, we look lost. It's a couple of passes around back to Onana, big long ball up the top, and Sexy's chasing shadows. That's all we do. We're doing the exact same thing as we done last year. There's absolutely no change. And he has got better players in. We've got the Licton, Ugarte. Ugate's a fantastic player. These players don't turn shite overnight. Sorry for the language, but they don't.
It's a fan.
They don't turn into terrible players. Now, I still think we're carrying a few. I still think we're carrying Ericsson. We're still carrying Casemiro. Maguire's not a Man United player. But we have the Ligt. We have Martinez back fit. Do you know, we have got, here's another one. Dallow's actually a good player. I do believe he's a good player. I just think in the system that he's playing in now, he's been caught out an awful lot and he looks terrible.
That was one of the worst performances I think I've ever seen out of him today.
He's not that bad of a player.
Yeah, let me get through some of the comments here because there's loads of them to get through. Let's see, on Delo, a spot one here from Finney says Delo has regressed at a shocking rate. Brian says the other issue is who do we bring in? So if we do change the manager, we'll get on to that in a moment. What has Rude done that warrants giving him the job? Brian says, I agree. The 11 players on the pitch today look like they met each other 10 minutes before kickoff. Can we talk about the how non-existent Ugarte is? Andy, if you want to jump in on these, do now, lads. Daryl says Bruno's been shocking the last couple of games. Let's see what else have we got. Pantera says Rashford is not good enough for freebooters, let alone United's. United, he's finished. This club has been mid-table. Yeah, go on.
At what stage do we get to the point that we say, right, we went last year, these players are throwing the manager under the bus. At what point do we have to get to until we realise that these players aren't throwing the manager under the bus? At what point do we realise that?
Go on,
because these players...
Desi, I kind of agree with you because, we've all ridiculed Ten Hag about his substitutions and how he sets up the team and what the best way to do that is. And to be honest with you, one of the comments was that, Ugarte, who is he? He was non-existent today. And I got to be honest with you, with the way that we're set up, and I have to point this out, is that I don't care who you have. I don't care if we had Rodri playing healthy, playing in the midfield as a single pivot. He's gonna get eaten up the way our team plays. Like in the system that we're playing right now, or whatever the system is, we cannot play a single pivot. We have to. I mean, to be honest with you, today, I would have thought that Ugarte would have played next to Casemiro and Manu would have been sitting out because we have to control the midfield. We don't control the midfield. Ugarte's not good enough by himself, nor is any player good enough by himself because of who else we have. Because I'm sorry, I think Manu's regressed a little bit because he looks a little lost when he's on the field too. And I don't understand, and we were just talking about this with my friends and stuff. He looks a little lost and a little bit slower than what he's slower with the ball this season. I just don't understand it. And I think part of it is everybody's thinking too much and not playing ball. And to go back to what Desi had said before, the system is the system or whatever that he's trying to implement. As a player, if you step on the field and something's not working, it's well within your own right to play as well as you can, doing what you know is right. Everybody on that field is a professional football player, that they should be able to change things on the field because you know what happens if things go well? The manager can't pull you off if you're playing well. If Rashford's going one-on-one, if Rashford's been drilled in his head that, you got to cross, you can't take him on, you got to play the ball back, you got to do this, you got to hold possession. At some point you go, F off, I'm going to go after this guy and I'm going to take him on, I'm going to go score a goal. And if he takes me off for scoring a goal, then he's going to look like an idiot. The manager will at that point. I just don't, I'm very lost in what we're trying to do. And but I blame the players because they have to have enough pride to understand, hey, something's not working. Hey, Bruno, come back here and do this. Hey, Manu, come back here and stand next to me. And ultimately, I guess this is what it boils down to. We have zero leader, none. And Tim Howard, I don't know if you guys get whatever the halftime the halftime thing. We have, Tim Howard and Steve Warnock, in halftime. And the one thing Tim Howard said, he goes, yeah, I feared Alex Ferguson when I played for United. But he goes, you know what I feared more was the other players on the pitch, because if I let them down, they let me know about it.
Yeah.
And I was more afraid of them than I was Sir Alex, because, your Roy Keanes or whoever and everybody like that would have smacked you upside the head and like, what are you doing? And we don't have that right now. And that's the issue. We have no heart. And I hate to say that.
Yeah, that's a big
Jack.
Yeah.
What did Ericsson say in his interview after the game against FC20? What was the one big comment that he made from an experienced player who's played at Spurs, who's playing in good teams? Like, what he turned around and he said,
they wanted it more, was it?
Yeah, but that's crucial. Don't just we can't just overlook that because he says that. That's absolutely, that's madness. That's sheer madness. Yeah. Even he knows that the opposition. So I think in every game, the opposition wanted more than us because we see it every week.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Well, Oisin, let me throw a stat at you here and get your opinion on it. Erik ten Hag has lost 32% of his league games for Manchester United. 26 out of 82 league games he's lost. All right. The highest percentage since Tommy Docherty in 1977. I mean, surely that's. When we're talking realistically, surely he doesn't keep his job with them stats, does he?
I mean, that's damning. That really is damning. If you're going back to the 70s and we all know how bad we were in the 70s, but I mean, there is no way he comes back from this. I just can't see it. I just want to touch on Chris. You made a point in the chat that, or Jack, you made a point in the chat that no one was talking to her. We have no leaders out there. We have no one who's going to shout. Martinez tries, but we've no one in the midfield or up front that wants to take the game by the scruff of the neck. We have no leaders. Ugarte, there was one point, and he was lucky to stay on the pitch with how what he did. I mean, he went over the ball. It was a worse tackle than Bruno's tackle. But they were breaking, and De Ligt, Martinez, Mazraoui, and Ugarte were running away from him until Ugarte stepped in. I mean, I've never known a United team to do that. Ever.
Yeah.
In all my years watching United, this was definitely one of the poorest games, if not the poorest game. But 32%, you said?
30 in terms of the games he's lost. 32% of his league games he's lost as Man United manager.
That's a failing grade no matter what exam you take.
Yeah.
It really is. You know? I wouldn't be surprised if we get a news report tonight he's been relieved of his duties. I can't see it going till tomorrow. I can't see it going to a review. I don't think Ineos wanted to keep him back in May. I think the FA Cup saved his job. I think they were all geared up to sack him after getting hammered by City in the FA Cup final. And I think he's been lucky to stay on as long as he has. But one of the comments was, who comes in? And I'm really struggling to think of an elite coach out there who will come in, steady the ship, and stay there for a long haul. Everyone's saying Thomas Tuchel, he'll fight in about 12 months, he'll fall out and get the bullet.
Yeah.
Zidane isn't an elite coach. I said it in the chat. He's not an elite coach. He was handed a Real Madrid team that was fully equipped. I mean, you or I could have managed that Real Madrid team and won 3 Champions Leagues. You know? He's not mentioned in the discussion with other big teams. He's never once floated.
Well, they said that in the summertime, they said that they interviewed Tuchel, but the problem with Tuchel was he wants control of transfers. He doesn't want to work within that going now
with their system. That's just
he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't want to work within the Ineos system of Wilcox and everybody like that. So I mean, he's not even a choice. And Zidane even said he didn't want to do it because he doesn't speak English. Well,
I think Ineos want Southgate, and I think they were hoping England wouldn't go deep when they did. And his contract doesn't officially run out with the FA until Christmas time. So it'll be, if Ten Hag does go tonight or tomorrow, it'll be interim until Christmas, and they'll announce Southgate in January, which would be an absolute disaster.
Yes.
I would nearly go as far as saying, I mean, there'd be no more, I wouldn't watch United anymore if Southgate was the manager. I don't think I would, to be honest with you.
It'd be tough.
I'd find it hard.
But again, does anybody have suggestions on who would come in? You know what I mean? Like,
I think
would you
if
go
he
for
gets-
somebody
if he-
like Thiago Motta, for example, or somebody
Oh.
up and coming like that? Or
Can I counter with a question? Why would you want to come?
yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah,
Why would you want to come?
I think the only draw to become Manchester United manager now is maybe the structure that's been put in place behind the scenes. The directors of football, the technical directors. We've used an awful lot over the last couple of years, best in class. I do think we've got that behind the scenes, and I think it's only a matter of time before it does bear fruit. We heard Omar Barada speaking during the week that, the goal is to win the Premier League by 2028, which is 4 years now. You can put a 0 behind 4, before we win the league by the looks of it now. But I mean, like, if you're talking about Erik Ten Hag specifically, last season was the big one for Ten Hag last season was all of the injuries. You know what I mean? This season, we've spent a bucket load of money again in the summer, and
on his players.
And we've basically got a full squad, bar Luke Shaw. You know what I mean? And we can't have that excuse anymore. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
The only people that I could think of right now that don't have jobs are, I don't think Nagelsmann has a job.
Well, I would take him. I would definitely take him.
Nagelsmann doesn't, and Potter went to France, did he not?
Is Nagelsmann not the Germany manager?
Yeah, but I think no, I don't think so.
Or is he the interim Germany manager? I'm not sure.
I think he may be the interim, but I mean, the only people I think of is, Pochettino would jump from the United States national team to become the United manager, but at the same time, the only other people I can think of is, I don't even want to say Southgate, but like maybe Graham Potter would leave and come back to work with Ashworth again. But other than that, you're looking at, anybody.
It's underwhelming. It's underwhelming regardless.
Well, and that's the issue, that there's really no one, unless you're going after someone young from like the sporting coach or the Benfica coach or someone that's been, very, very good with young players. Like, I don't see any established. There's not an established manager that's going to come and manage for us. It would. If you went and got Tuchel for the time being just to save us, so maybe we could get into a cup for next season. But then after that, I think it's a wash. But you got to remember, though, like, if you bring in someone like a Tuchel, what are you going to do with Rude and do with all these? They have to agree to take the staff that's on staff right now. Like, if not, then you're bringing in a whole new staff. Like, it's just not Ten Hag. I think if Ten Hag, if Oshin is right and he gets his walking papers tonight, tomorrow, Ruud van Nistelrooy is the coach until next summer.
I don't think that's a bad show.
Yeah,
I can't say it's good or bad.
The bigger question then would be: can it get any worse?
No, I don't think. Well, yes, I think it can, but I hope not. You know what I mean? Like, I just, if the only way I think it's worse if there's like a full on mutiny and like it's just not, that's the only way I think it gets worse. But I didn't really.
I'm confused about this whole Ruud van Nistelrooy talk. You know what I mean? Because he's come in as an assistant manager that, he's been primed to take over from Erik Ten Hag when inevitably it fails. What has Ruud van Nistelrooy done? You know what I mean? Like, all right, he done well in the Eredivisie. He didn't do any better than Ten Hag done. You know what I mean? So what credentials does he have to take over as man? I know he played for the club before and he played in the Premier League and he loves the club and all that kind of stuff. But is that really going to make a difference when you're coming up against Guardiola, against Arteta, tactically?
Oli knew the club. He played with the club, loved the club. But I have been saying since Ruud came in that a lot of the column inches were about him. A lot of the social media posts were about him. He was being pushed front and center. that it was
Is it
almost
just
like he
lazy
was
journalism,
the
though?
heir apparent.
Is it just lazy journalism to stir up this anti-United nonsense?
Well, I think so. I mean, that's where you got to kind of try to separate what's going on, because your guys' media is 10 times worse than ours over here, because you want to talk about pot stirrers. Like, it's you guys over there, and the British media is like ridiculous. Like, I just don't understand it, and it's just pure. I mean, you got to decipher pure United hatred versus reality. I mean, my thing is Ruud qualified for it? No, but is he the most qualified at this moment? Probably. I mean, I don't think you're going to find someone else that's more qualified, because he could probably take over and just inject a little bit of life and just get us through it. But again, next summer, I have no idea who would take over. I mean, it's because, I mean, I don't know what the fix is. Like, I mean, I guess the only fix would be if you went the Chelsea route and you bought 40 players and you played all attacking. You don't care how many goals you give up. Like, I mean, because you're going to score 5, so you can give up 3 and you don't really care at that point. I mean, and that's the only thing I can say about Chelsea is that when I watched the game yesterday, they play free-flowing and attacking soccer or football, sorry, and they just don't care. I mean, their defense is terrible. They give up they could have very well tied or lost that game, if Brighton was better. But they just play, all out attack. And I mean, I don't know if that's what, we're the exact opposite. We're almost like parking the bus.
Yeah. Oisin, top 4 gone already.
Yeah.
Yeah. No get like. I know when we're talking about, league tables and stuff like that, and we're sitting in 12th, we
could be 13th tomorrow night.
Yeah. However, there is only 6 points between us and 4th. You know what I mean? Now, given how early it is in the season, I did mention that we're on course to be relegated with the points that we're acquiring at the moment. But does it take the change of a manager to turn this around, or is it new players in, teething problems? I think it's much more than that, surely.
I think it's
going to take, I don't want to say a culture change there, but it's going to take something to shake the foundations just to get us going again. Because at the moment, we're stuck in reverse. We're going nowhere, and we need someone to get us into gear. And I don't think Ten Hag is the man anymore. Right. I would go so far as to say that European football looks a bit dodgy at this point. Right now, today, at this point, European football looks dodgy. And that brings us down to 6th place, 7th place for conference.
Yeah, I think we're lucky.
That's the worrying thing, though, isn't it? Jack's just said there's 6 points between us, but how long is it going to take to fix? Is it going to be another 6 points before we're fixed? 9 points?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not a quick fix, is it?
It's considering we turn it around instantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
we're playing Villa next week.
Oh.
That's not an easy game.
And we're away to Porto as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what, Thursday? Is it Thursday we're playing?
Yeah.
The only thing is Porto played as bad as us, so that's the only positive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I watched that game too, and now they played terrible. But
right.
I mean,
we'll still manage to make them look good.
Yeah, we will 100% do that. We will 100% do that. Right, let's leave it on that slight positive. That slight, look, a terrible day. But look, we'll see.
Well,
where we go.
Here's the only thing, though, Jack. I want to just say this is that hopefully, if he gets his gash on the back of his head fixed, Mason Mount, everybody that was clamoring for Bruno to sit on the pine, you got it now. And now you're going to see what Mason Mount can do in this squad. So that's the only positive that I can take out of it, because it's make or break time for him right now. He's got the next.
It's not a positive, Chris. That's just another question mark, because we have no idea what he's done since he came to the club. Mason Mount, what is he?
But here's the thing, though, Oisin. Everybody was saying that he's not going to bench Bruno. He's not going to bench Bruno. He's not going to bench Bruno. He's not, and everything like that. Well, now you don't have to worry about it. Now he's benched. Like now.
Here's a bigger shoe. Get rid of Ten Hag tonight, and we'll definitely finish in the top 4. I'm deadly serious. That team's good enough to finish in the top 4. And here's another thing. We talked about leaders earlier on. We have plenty of them. They're just not doing it.
No.
The belief is gone in the manager.
I'm
We
gonna
have
throw this
plenty of leaders in that team.
I'm going to throw this caveat out too. If we get Southgate in January, Ben, I'm not coming over anymore. I'm canceling the trip.
Yeah, I'm selling me season ticket if that's the case as well.
I'm going to hunt him down.
Yeah.
I keep the season tickets, Jack, and just sell them all. Just make some money.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to a massive match next Sunday, Jack.
What's that?
Draw United against Wexford in the FAI Cup semi-final. Me
Get up,
hometown.
Daisy.
I'm on the
Happy days. Hope you get the result. Right, boys, look, we'll leave it there. Thanks for coming on as always. And I speak to you during the week. All right.
See you, boys.
Catch you later.
As always. And thanks to everybody else for watching, guys. Look, it's a really poor outcome to today. Like I said, I don't see how Erik ten Hag survives this. I really don't. But let me know what you think. If you're listening back to this at a later date, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Smash a like on the video on the way out if you haven't done so already, guys. And if you are new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button as well. Helps the channel out an awful lot. It's going to be a very interesting week at Man United. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you. I'll be back Monday night. I'll see you Monday night. Tomorrow night. Take it easy. Good luck.